And here's
Uh,
this week's NASS current event.
I'm not sure if you guys have heard this, but there was a Toxic Avenger movie that was in the works, and it actually got finished. It has our boy Tyrion in it. Well, it was finished. A trailer came out over a year ago, and it actually debuted at a festival. I believe it was last September that it debuted at a festival. Till this day, after its debut in the festival and supposedly it got good reception, it's been nothing but radio silence. And people have been wondering what's going on with this movie. Is it coming out? It's been over a year. No one's hearing anything. They interviewed, a couple of the actors from it, and they're like, "Oh, we don't know. We wanted to release. Kind of, it's out of their hands." Well, it's come out that they've actually had trouble getting distributors for this movie and to pick it up. A lot of the things that they're hearing out there is it's too out there, it's too niche. There's no market for it. So this movie is still in limbo a year later, and who knows if it will ever be released or come out or just end up disappearing into the abyss.
Like Batgirl.
So but at least this was seen in a festival.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
that one never made it to foreign eyes. So with that being said, the question I pose to you guys is, first of all, how do you feel about the Toxic Avengers movie? Have you seen the trailer? What are your thoughts on that? And then secondly, about this type of situation happening with this movie. And it has two known actors. I believe Elijah Wood is also in
Yeah,
it too.
yeah.
Hmm.
So those are my two questions. Dan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so the Toxic Avenger, I mean, I appreciate what it was with the campiness and stuff it had back then, but I wasn't like the biggest Toxic Avenger fan. So even when they said they were relaunching him, like I understand it's IP and that's what studios just keep wanting to push is IP. Like I get it, but I don't feel like it was a movie people were really like dying for. I don't know like a massive amount of Toxic Avenger fans, I'm sure they exist out there. I don't know a ton of them. So could it have been done right? Yeah, of course. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that came out that I wouldn't expect to be good, and it was phenomenal. Like we mentioned before, like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like I would never have expected those movies to be great. It wasn't like a big juicy storyline that made it easy for you, right? So there's always a twist and turns you could turn on it. Peter Dinklage is a phenomenal actor. I love Elijah Wood. So you have both of them in it. Like that sounded interesting, but I didn't really care too much about it. But I do like those two actors. So I mean, it sucks that this happens, especially because I focus more on the filmmakers and the amount of time and energy it took to put into this. And imagine working on a movie for like 6 months just for it to get to disappear like this. Like that's really sad that all this time and energy. And for some of the filmmakers, like this was their first big star. This was their first big credit, and the movie's not even going to get out there. Like that sucks.
What about you, George? What are your
Uh,
thoughts?
I mean, for me, I'm this wearing this famous monsters hat. I'm very familiar with Toxic Avenger. Troma is a very small time production company. This was the thing that really made them who they are. They're kind of up there with like Dark Moon, I think it is, or Full Moon pictures. They make these small scale indie kind of horror slapstick kind of movies. You mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn got his start with Troma, and I believe the guy's name is Charlie Coffin, the guy who runs Troma, everything. It's like this is kind of like that heart and soul kind of feeling of like boots to the ground kind of filmmaking. You got only
Yeah.
a few bucks to your name, and we're going to use everything we got to make this project work. So there's something really special about those kind of films. When I heard they were making this movie, I was actually really excited. Because they got some big names. Like Peter Dinklage is no schlub, and I feel like Elijah Wood brings some credibility too, with especially with I think he likes campiness. If you ever seen like the music video he did with the Beastie Boys, it's so goofy.
Mhm.
So it's like I feel like he could have lent a lot of that to this.
George, you said Charlie Kaufman. Is it the same Charlie Kaufman? Or is it like a different Charlie Kaufman? I think he wrote
Oh,
Maybe
sorry,
Uh,
John
no,
Malkovich.
Lloyd Kaufman.
Adaptation. That's the one I'm thinking of.
I don't-
Adaptation.
Yeah, but I got the wrong
Lloyd
name. It's Lloyd
Kaufman.
Kaufman.
Got you. Yeah, because Charlie Kaufman is the one that did those ones. Like it was
No.
adaptation.
He
Lloyd.
doesn't. I hate to say he's not tied to like big Oscar type movies.
Okay,
Like
then no.
they're schlock humor kind of stuff. It's
That's what I
low
was gonna
budget. It's low
say.
budget. It's low.
That's why when you said Charlie Kaufman, I'm like, well, that's interesting because this guy's been doing like Oscar type movies. So the fact that he went there, I'm like, he must really have a big
Oh
passion
no,
for it.
no,
And
no!
I
I'm
didn't know
sorry.
that because his movies were very different.
Nah, look,
You know?
it's Lloyd Kaufman. He's the
Gotcha,
one who
gotcha.
runs Troma Productions.
Mm,
But
gotcha.
it's also very cult following kind of films. There is a
Yeah,
huge cult
absolutely.
following for like Toxic
Hmm.
Avenger and all
Yeah.
these kinds of films. So the fact that it's just like no one's looking at this, like they couldn't get someone like Neon or freaking I don't know, A24 to some extent. Like
Or
I feel like
Bloomhouse even.
Maybe, yeah,
I mean,
sure. Yeah.
yeah.
But honestly, like, I shrug at that. But yeah, Bloomhouse actually would be a
Yes.
kinship there. They would actually be really perfect for them.
Correct. And that's the reason why I say Bloomhouse, because I know they like going for that other type of horror, not necessarily this, but Bloomhouse has had so many random things under Bloomhouse that it seems
Yeah.
like they take a lot of gambles. A24 is a lot more specific, and Toxic Avenger isn't really that, right? I mean, it'd be great if A24 touched Toxic Avenger. Well, now you have my interest. I mean,
Yeah,
entirely different.
yeah.
That's the when I was talking about I'd be interested if they did something super unique or original with it, like A24 touching it. Oh, you'd have my attention with that one.
Yeah, it's weird. So, Toxic Avenger, it's not my thing, in general. So it's not something I was excited about. But it is still disappointing to hear when, a project is just kind of left in the abyss, especially once it's done, it's been edited, it's just about release. So like that's all that it comes down to. The fact that they can't find one distributor out there, and I'm gonna be honest, there is some weird shit out there that makes it onto streaming services. This can't go on Tubi, you know? Like, how out there can this movie possibly be that no one wants to touch it? Like, I
Jose,
feel
they have a movie called Fart, the movie on Tubi. You tell me the Toxic Avenger can't be on Tubi?
That's exactly like what I'm saying. You have movies like that fart movie, or Sharkness of the Moon and things like that. These ridiculous got
Shut
some kind of
Uh,
Sam.
distribution. A streaming service can't pick it up, a freebie or Tubi or whatever. I feel like if the movie is done, especially with names attached to it, it should find an avenue to release. So it's a shame for everyone involved if this movie just disappears into the abyss. And those, like the cult following that the Toxic Avenger has, if those people never get to, eventually, I probably won't be watching it. But those fans should deserve to have their loyalty, respected and have that opportunity to watch this and maybe enjoy it.
I question
I,
is this issue where like maybe they could go to a Tubi, they could go to something like that or a Shutter, and maybe they want to go to theaters because it has already gone to a festival and they think like they've gotten the praise from the fans from the festival and they think this deserves to be in a theater. Like maybe that's the issue.
and it could be the
I mean,
actors, right? Because you got Dinklage and you have Elijah Wood.
Yeah, those aren't
So like
small names.
those aren't small names, especially Elijah Wood usually does stuff, right? Like I mean, sure, he's been like on television shows, right? The Wilfred and stuff, that we talked about, but I mean, they're still big names, man. Peter Dinklage, like he's a really great actor. Like that's Tyrion Lannister that we talking about. I'm sure that has something to do with it too. But like even to your point, Jose, like even when we talked about the Batgirl, even if you're not gonna make money, like just drop it, like stream it. How you already did all the work, just drop it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't affect anything. Just let us watch it.
yeah, and this isn't unlike that situation, this isn't a big like company where it's like, okay, we need to do a tax write-off like WB did with that movie, like Disney has done with multiple projects. So you don't even have the excuse of like, oh, we need to use that as a tax write-off.
Mhm.
So I don't know. We'll see if it gets released, but I feel we can all concur, like in the end, it's a shame where when people put their blood, sweat, and tears into a project, regardless of the quality of it, and it doesn't get to see the light of day to the degree. Whether people like it or not, it at least deserves to be watched and be seen in some capacity.
Heard that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was please follow us for more original content. And that was this week's current event.